Mark Waid reintroduces us to Shazam with a brand new series that, while isn't an actual reset of the character, it takes us to a point where Waid can organically reintroduce us to Billy and his family. I love how much of actual character growth Waid manages to pull off in just 21 pages, quickly establishing that Billy has matured enough to effectively use his powers to help save the world and actually become a well-known, loved hero. You compare that to the recently released Fury of the Gods film, which kind of did the opposite and almost stripped the character back down to be an immature, idiotic child, and it's just like night and day. Billy moving into a more mature, heroic status quo is organic, and Waid sets it up super well, showing the character can still have fun while also growing as a character and realizing that he needs to grow as a character to be a bit more of an effective hero and be a better human being. The teasers of the villains, while sparse, were interesting, and it's thoroughly refreshing that it's not just Mr. Mind or Savannah again. It's seemingly something new tied to Billy's powers, and I'm very much looking forward to getting to know who these villains are. Dan Morrow comes over with Waid from World's Finest to breathe some much needed life and colour back into Shazam again, diving into the fun, magical adventure side of the character and combining it with some classic superhero elements in the action sequences. Morrow also finally returns Shazam back to his kind of classic costume, ditching the movie synergy with the taller boots or like the strange sort of energy driven lightning bolt on his chest, to the more classic look with the pixie shoes and the gold sash, which is a thoroughly welcome change since it's the one costume I think didn't need any changing whatsoever, and I'm glad it's back to the original costume. Shazam issue 1 was a brilliant return to form for the character, taking him back to his roots while also delivering some really fantastic and needed character growth, both Billy Batson and Shazam. I'm going to give this issue a 9.5 out of 10. Shazam issue 1 finds the titular hero riding on a T-Rex towards a cliff face. Shazam tries to get the dinosaur to stop, pulling on the reins around the monster's head, but it topples off the cliff. Shazam takes to the skies, speeding into the nearby rainforest and grabbing some vines to make a net, using it to catch the dinosaur and save it from certain death. He demands the creature calm down and relax, and surprisingly, it agrees to, asking the hero in English if he is in trouble. Shazam tells it to ask its parents, since they are going to be worried sick. The hero remembers how a few hours ago, a family of interstellar dinosaurs crash-landed on the Yucatan Peninsula, and their child wandered off from the ship. Shazam reunites the family, who scold their child for wandering off on his own. The hero is just glad that he didn't get hurt, offering to help them get their ship back in running order. In an instant, Shazam fixes the ship with all of his powers, asks to join the dinosaurs for some tea. Billy sits with them and they pour him a big cup of tea, telling the drinking hero that what he is drinking is made from genuine snarl droppings. Shazam forces some of the tea down, as the dinosaurs ask if all Earthlings are like Shazam, but Shazam thinks that he just got lucky and was given powers by an old wizard, and every time he says a magic word, he changes into a superhero with the abilities of 6 great figures from history and mythology. After tea, Shazam takes the ship into space, sending it on their way before returning to the Rock of Eternity, which after the wizard entrusted Billy with, he has turned into his clubhouse. Shazam puts his new dinosaur-sized teacup with his other trophies, going about his combat training, coordination practice, and superhero research, which really just amounts to him playing with action figures, dancing, watching movies, and playing video games. Freddy comes by to see Billy, calling him the Captain. Billy doesn't like that name, but the family have started to call him that after a maritime accident he had recently. He knows it's at least a name he can say out loud without turning back to Billy, as Freddy tells him that he's heard that Mary got her own set of Shazam powers, and he wonders if Billy found out a way to get his powers back as well. Shazam hasn't, but he promises that he'll keep trying since he misses them being a team. Shazam remembers the Lazarus Planet incident affecting magic, and since then, he hasn't been able to share his power with his brothers and sisters. He knows they all miss being heroes, especially Freddy. The boy thinks that he should start poking around the Rock of Eternity and see what he can dig up, but Shazam warns him not to, since it's a nexus point for all kinds of dangerous stuff, and as civilians, they need to keep to the safe zones. Freddy knows about that, also mentioning that Homeroom starts in about 3 minutes, prompting Shazam to grab Freddy and speed out of the Rock of Eternity, as something with glowing eyes emerges from the darkness. The being, a giant man, tells an older bearded man that he has such contempt for Billy Batson, and the old man finds him a disgrace, worse, since he's wasting his potential in pursuit of trinkets and petty comforts he fills the rock with. He implores his tall friend that they must take action today if they are to restore his reputation. Back in Philadelphia, SHAZAM changes back into Billy and heads to school. He reminds himself that he is always turning back into Billy thanks to the wisdom of Solomon, since people forget that Solomon wasn't smart, but he was wise, and there is a big difference. And while Solomon's power doesn't make Billy smart, he needs to go to school and learn to become smart. He's also found the power also constantly tells him things like eat vegetables, get a good night's sleep, and cut down on the video games, which Billy finds gets old really fast. He knows at least as Billy he can be more of himself and make his own choices, but still, Billy can't fly or use super strength and his coordination isn't too good, but it's all just a trade-off. Billy soon heads home to Victor and Rose's place, where Talkie Tawny is busy preparing dinner for the family, acting as their house manager in exchange for room, board, and belly rubs. Billy gets to work on his side hustle, a sponsored SHAZAM fan cast that reports on all of the latest adventures of the hero. He wasn't so sure about it at first, but Freddy convinced him to do it, and he thought if he reported the facts, it would inspire listeners to be kinder to one another, since while the captain might not save the day all the time, he is always kind. The listeners comment on the latest updates as Billy gets an alert of an 8.4 earthquake hitting South California. Billy quickly signs off and says his magic word, taking off and hoping the speed of Mercury will get him to California in time. SHAZAM soon arrives to find a giant sinkhole opening up in the ground around LA. He races into the hole, lifting rubble off of people and saving them. SHAZAM notices that there are a lot of real heroes like the first responders around to help, as he prevents more rubble from falling onto a nearby highway. He helps the people search for trapped survivors, clearing debris from the area, and 30 minutes later, SHAZAM finishes up the rescue operation, returning 2 children to their mother. The Daily Planet's reporters covered the rescue, asking the captain if he has a few words for the millions watching. SHAZAM is just glad that he could have helped, and the woman whose children he says that he did more than that, he saved them all. She asks how they could ever thank him, and the hero suddenly lashes out, demanding the pathetic woman get away from him as he pushes her away. SHAZAM addresses the cameras, demanding that the people should be thanking him for saving them, and they should be on their knees with gratitude since they are lucky that he would even dirty his hands with them. Billy suddenly snaps out of it, panicking over what he just said as he notices all of the people and cameras are still watching him.